Yo, what is up, boys? How's it going? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. So I've watched Tokyo Ghoul. I've watched 2 of the seasons. I loved season 1. I think it gets more hate than it deserves. And then season 2 just kind of didn't make sense. Was edgy, more edgy, and I wasn't a huge fan. But I've heard great things about the manga. Never actually got around to reading it. And then Gigguk just uploaded a video today saying Tokyo Ghoul deserved better. So kind of just want to jump into it and see what he has to say.
The year is 2014. Flappy Birds is increasing the global rage index by 100%. People are going a bit mental, pouring a bit of cold water over
Did Connor really stream Flappy Bird?
their heads. I'm working
Or was that
for
just like a weird edit?
a small little
Probably just an edit.
company no one's ever heard of called The Big Black Cop, and an anime called Tokyo Ghoul starts airing. This damn thing became inescapable. If you were on Tumblr, you'd see that goddamn edgy mask at every
I liked Tokyo Ghoul, okay?
convention you'd go to, and the world was introduced to one of the most iconic anime openings of all time.
That opening still is an absolute banger. Whenever I'm listening to anime openings, it's like, that's like top 3 instant click.
Travel. If Rene Circulation was the weeb smash hit song, this became our national anthem. Come on, don't lie. At one point, I know the beginning of this song was ingrained into your brain, and you wish you could match that raspy, scratchy ass vocal texture the singer has. You're welcome, headphone users. While the anime didn't exactly explode onto the scene, it was one of those shows that wormed its way into anime pop culture within the last 10 years. Shit's the 8th most popular anime of all time on MAL, behind Naruto and above Demon Slayer. With the
That's nuts. That is nuts. Now, my question is, even though we enjoyed season 1, from what I've heard, that's not where the manga starts. Did they do that? Was the idea that studio did that, or the reason they did that, so that our experience off the start was better? I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I'm just shooting in the dark here. I wonder why the plot was all over the place in season 2, and in season 3 it made even less sense where it started. Is it because season 1 was adapted pretty well, but is that like, was chapter 1 or chapter 1 through 5 and episode 1 in the beginning the same as the beginning of Tokyo Ghoul is what I'm asking. I wonder. Because I feel like sometimes anime does certain things to make our experience better in the beginning and not for the long run. And they just want things to be hyped to sell manga or light novels or just for the anime to be popular, right? For the ending of No Game No Life Season 1 was actually not the ending of the first like handful of light novels. They took an ending from like a later light novel and threw it in there because it was a hype ending. Now, if season 2 were to happen, technically it wouldn't make sense, you know? But they just did that because they wanted people to go and read the light novels. So I wonder what happened. I want to read Tokyo Ghoul.
manga comfortably sitting at number 5. You've seen memes and manga panels from Tokyo Ghoul spread around, most likely this one, which you know is from that famous scene in the manga where I think Ken Kaneki said, "I am the Tokyo Ghoul."
Don't you just love that part where he said, "I'm the Tokyo Ghoul," and proceeded to Tokyo Ghoul around, boys? I love that part.
I think it goes on to Morb after that. And seeing all this unfold before my eyes, I always had one question. Why Tokyo Ghoul? I remember watching the anime and thinking, well, this is a decently interesting shonen show, bit edgy, but nothing I'm gonna write home about. Then, like locusts, swaths of manga readers would swarm around me and proudly exclaim, but did you actually read the manga? It's so much better. And I saw Kaneki's white hair and his fabulous black nails, and I was like, okay, manga readers, whatever you say. Now, isn't there a Gigguk fan cam you should be busy working on right now? I'm just saying, Tokyo Ghoul is a deep, complex story, and Ken Kaneki is such a tragic character that nobody understands. And I take offense to that last line.
No one understands Kaneki. That's a video for Nux Coffee right there.
It's a Jimin fan cam I'm working on, actually. And so 8 years later, way past the point anyone still cared about Tokyo Ghoul, I thought, maybe it's finally the right time to actually give this a chance, and...
They were right?
The manga reader... punch! One Punch Man the Strongest is a One Punch Man turn-based mobile RPG that is officially licensed and overseen by Shueisha themselves.
Oh, that's
You
cool.
can experience some of the most iconic scenes from the anime in the palm of your hand. Saitama isn't the only one though, as there are over 60 class hero Yaran game today on our strongest team. Thank you very much for One Punch Man the Strongest for sponsoring us today, and
That's a cool new sponsor that I haven't seen around.
to the video. Hiding in the underbelly of society is the secret world of ghouls. Carnivorous monsters that may look, act, and sound exactly like humans, except they are stronger, faster, have superhuman abilities,
And can only drink coffee.
but most importantly, they have a hunger they need to satisfy. One that cannot be quelled by normal food. It's a hunger that is only satisfied by feasting on the flesh of humans.
Why is he? Oh, there we go. I knew there was gonna be a fucking punchline.
Flesh of humans. Ken Kaneki wants pussy. My man. My boy's out here just trying to get laid and scores a lucky date, but unfortunately for our boy, before he can start eating the pussy starts eating him. Luckily, he's saved by some falling beans, except both of them get crushed and
Yeah, that also was like, was it Jason who dropped the beams? I can't even remember. Like that was just so random. It was all Aizen's plan to drop the beam so Ken Kaneki can become a ghoul and become stronger so that he can eventually defeat him in the long run because no one can match up to Aizen.
and to save his life, the doctors thought it would be a great idea to just transplant this random lady's organs into Kaneki, without knowing that she...
Clearly, it is all the big coffee industry turning people to ghouls to increase their sales. It's all about money.
was a ghoul. And so begins Kaneki's journey into the world of ghouls, as he slowly learns to accept that he has become one.
I must say, like, I do think the premise and the introduction was very interesting. It got me.
On the surface, Tokyo Ghoul is a series I didn't think would appeal to me, because when I looked at the show, the aesthetics and the fan base, I went, wait a minute. Ghouls are just reskinned vampires. This is a vampire series. I'll be honest, I'm just not a big fan of vampire shows. Sure, there are definitely some cool ones, but a lot of the times it's just not my vibe. Especially the ones I see that have dark, sexy, brooding men. Oh, just look how hard this guy's angsting. Oh, he's so mysterious and sorrowful. Oh god,
He just doesn't get it, man. He doesn't appreciate the male physique of a vampire. This is so sad.
I bet he doesn't have any hair in his nipples. I call them Tumblr shows, which seeing how popular Tokyo Ghoul got on there just reaffirms my preconceptions, because you gotta admit, some of these aesthetics radiate I'm 14 and this is deep energy. The type of show with the fan base you wouldn't be surprised buying a jar of corpse husband's bathwater and posting images like, there are two wolves inside of me. One wants to eat, the other wants to eat. Maybe I'm just fucking fat. And at the beginning it seemed like pretty much that. Ghouls eat humans, so ghouls equal bad. Kaneki good, because he's fighting against bad ghouls. But when I started to really see what the story was about was with the introduction of the CCG, or the organization that was created to hunt ghouls. We get introduced to this guy, and I mean, just fucking look at him. I could put on a red spacesuit and run down the street shouting Among Us, and I would still look less sus than this guy. He shouldn't get near a playground, let alone a position of authority, so when we see him taking pleasure in murdering a young ghoul's mother, we kind of start to realize, wait, are we the baddies? Before you know it, different factions start forming on both the ghoul and human side of things.
The class. I do enjoy when anime does that, where it just shows it doesn't matter like who you are, what your position is. There's gonna be good and bad people in every industry, every part of life. Doesn't matter if you're a pirate or a marine. Am I right, boys?
Each with their own philosophies of the right course of action to take. Tokyo Ghoul crafts this world where the conflict just feels organic. Every single character has a reason they're part of this fight, a part of this war, and it always feels justified no matter how scummy a person they may be. Sometimes humans are the monsters, sometimes ghouls are the monsters, a lot of the times both are the monsters, and in between there are a select few just trying to find peace in all this chaos. Tokyo Ghoul tricks you into thinking this is a story of the struggles of ghouls trying to find a way to exist in a world of humans. And then halfway through it's like, psych, bitch! Here's Tokyo Ghoul Re, where we shift perspectives to the opposite side of things and see the sacrifices humans need to make to protect themselves from the destruction and despair ghouls can bring. You can't blame ghouls for needing to consume the diets they need to survive any more than you can blame humans for defending themselves from being the hunted. In this world, there are no good guys and bad guys, just guys trying to survive in the place they were born in and are willing to fight with their life on the line to protect it. Every character has their own biases, their own prejudices, and the more you find out about them, the less you can blame them for feeling the way they do. And that's what I feel sets up what makes this series truly shine, which is Kaneki himself. Now I fully admit, at the beginning, every time Kaneki opened his mouth,
I didn't expect him to say that. Damn. Okay, let's see.
A big sigh and eye roll because it was a bit like. But as the series progresses, you see that he's the perfect character to carry you through this story. He's someone who's born as a human that was turned into a ghoul and as such acts as the perfect middle ground between the two worlds. Here is someone who sees the twisted, unfair, broken world for what it is, and because of that he's in a constant internal battle with himself, unable to fully let go of his human side, but unable to fully accept his ghoul side. There are two wolves inside of him. Sorry. The dynamic of Kaneki's internal struggle is to me what made this manga so compelling. Little by little, you get to see the transformation of this naive, young, whiny, annoying brat become a symbol of the two sides he represents. Tokyo Ghoul is Kaneki's story through and through, and seeing his journey and how it ties in thematically with the story being told, by the ending of Re, I could absolutely see why he became one of the most iconic characters in the world of manga.
Yo, thanks for the follow, Mr. Testicles.
All this.
Just I couldn't not say it because it's like it's just gets so deep and so like the music is everything's getting to you, and then I see Mr. Testicles drop a follow.
Because Ken Kaneki wants pussy. One thing that absolutely stands out is the art on display here. You can see Sui Ishida starting off a bit rough at the beginning, but as the series goes on, you can really see him coming to his own. Not only resulting in some legendary panels, but just becoming an absolute master at being able to portray a person's mental states. Kaneki's internal conflict wouldn't have hit nearly as hard if the manga wasn't able to so skillfully convey the raw mess of emotions people can go through. Dialogue.
I think the anime did that well too, to be honest.
Bleeds in and out of speech bubbles. Paneling loses all sense of structure. The page breaks down just as much as the characters do. When Ishida wants to show you a character's inner thoughts, you don't just see it, you feel it. One of my favorite moments is when they introduce the concept of each CCG officer having to write a will and testament before they go off on a dangerous operation, just in case. And we spend some time just seeing a few people's different approaches. Some send a final message to their family, some just detail who gets what assets. Then we zoom in on one fresh-faced guy who's having trouble writing his. He seems nervously enthusiastic about the operation that's about to take place, and so he ponders, and eventually writes the message he wants to before we turn the page to see this. And you understand everything you need to know about what's going through this man's mind. This is why the manga is held in such high regard, but improperly handled this material, and you can very much easily misconstrue what makes this manga stand out. So, you know what? Let's talk about Edge. No, not that one. Not that one either. There we go. I'm not gonna lie, one of the biggest things that put me off Tokyo Ghoul initially is that judging from the anime and the fandom,
I love this guy. I love that guy. I forgot his name, but I loved him. He was like my favorite character in the series.
It just seems like it's trying a bit too hard to be edgy.
He was just real. I just found him so funny.
This post I found sums it up perfectly. Why do people think Tokyo Ghoul is an edgy anime? I had to ask this after I saw Mother's Basement Tokyo Ghoul video, where he said Tokyo Ghoul was edgy and that he'd rather watch Akame kill. This triggered flashbacks of how my friends would say only Tumblr, emos, or people who shop at Hot Topic like Tokyo Ghoul. I don't fall into any of these
I do all of those things, but I don't get how it's edgy.
Descriptions, but I do use Tumblr sometimes. I often find it hard to verbalize exactly what the difference is between a story that's dark and adult versus something that's edgy. What makes something like Berserk mature versus something like Akame ga Kill? Both are filled to the brim with violence, have messed up things happening throughout the story, and are full of crazy, larger-than-life characters. But at the end of the day, edginess is just a feeling that you get. Berserk has...
I feel like when something's deep and dark and has those deeper themes, it's different from the edgy ones that are like, it's a bunch of high school kids and it has the corny lines, and I feel like sometimes it's extra gory just for the sake, or the dialogue, it just feels edgy for the sake of being edgy, versus like a really cruel dark world. Not saying that Tokyo Ghoul isn't a cruel dark world, right?
One of the most engrossing stories in the history of manga.
If you compare a character like Guts and Griffith to a character like Kaneki, at least from what I saw in the anime, the vibes are different. I can't believe I'm using that to describe edgy, but the vibes are different.
manga. There's depth to the characters, a reason for the madness, a message at the heart of the tale that can move the toughest of men. Whereas for shows like Akame ga Kill, Mirai Nikki, Elfen Lied, you get the feeling that they are trying to be violent and shocking for the sake of being violent and shocking. Watching these give me the same feeling as seeing a teenager trying to seem way cooler than they actually are, but where that boundary lies can differ from person to person. And the line between mature and...
It's like when you see some like white high school kid dressed in like a super cool way. It's just like you're just trying, at least back in the day, not nowadays because now they dress like fuckboys, but I'm talking about like the baggy clothing and the chains and the hats and the way they talk and the way they walk. It's like, you're not that guy, bro. You're not that guy. I know you want to be that guy, but you're not that guy. And there's a difference between you, which is like the edgy version of anime, and that guy, which is the berserk.
Edgy is something that can be paper thin. Tokyo Ghoul is a series that lives on this line. It was born there. My boy Kaneki set up camp up there and is navigating it like a goddamn trapeze artist walking down to the tune of Evanescence Bring Me Back to Life. But through his style of storytelling, Ishida manages to keep his manga ever feeling like it's gone full edge. You know, for the longest time, I saw this panel of Kaneki saying, "I am tragedy," being passed around on the internet, and I was like, oh.
It's like, that's
Cut
so
my
cringe.
life into pizza and give me a plastic fork because this edge is slicing me up. You know,
I'm 14 and this is deep.
Can't deny, with this aesthetic and style, out of context, this line of dialogue seems to fit perfectly. But it was only after reading the manga did I find out that this is a bloody parody edit. Kaneki doesn't say anything like this in the series, but it shows that all it takes is changing a few words, a few lines of dialogue for Tokyo Ghoul to fall right down there into the depths of edge build. I felt that Ishida managed to avoid this when I was
Yo, Nick James, thanks for the 16 months, homie. Appreciate you.
reading the manga, but in the anime, that definitely wasn't the case. And to properly portray my point, I gotta talk about one of the big early turning points in the manga, so if you haven't seen up to the ending of season 1 in the anime, then I'll be doing a spoilery timestamp on YouTube so you can skip ahead. Early on, Kaneki gets kidnapped by a powerful ghoul named Jason who would put him through a living hell. At the time, Kaneki still very much viewed himself as a human, unable to accept his ghoul side, and it would be this that completely breaks him. For 10 long, grueling days, Jason put Kaneki through some of the most unimaginably horrific torture nobody should have to experience. Body parts were cut off. A centipede was allowed to run rampant inside of Kaneki's ear. His fingers and toes were cut off so many times that his nails turned black from the constant regeneration of his limbs. And over time, his hair slowly turned from black to white from the sheer stress and trauma of the event. First, just a strand, then a patch, then by the end, every single strand was white.
Yeah, like it was way too... It happened like all at once in the anime, and I still love this scene. I loved it. But I think probably the manga, they probably did it better.
His mind was pushed to the breaking point, and then kept going far beyond that. And at the end of it all, with nothing left to cling on to, no hope left, he turned to this absolutely grotesque
Oh
panel
my God.
as you see Kaneki cannibalizing himself, eyeballs popping out, fingers clawing his face off, as he finally accepts that he is a ghoul. Seeing this panel for the first time, I got such a guttural reaction of a mix of so many different emotions, and it was such a powerful, raw way to show Kaneki completely breaking down and accepting his ghoul side. Now, how did the anime do this? Well, he has a nice friendly chat with Rise before having a little cheeky bite of her, and then for some reason his hair instantaneously turns white, and before he remembers to wipe the Nando sauce off his mouth, we get this.
I am a ghoul.
Now, I'm not saying this is the worst way to adapt it. I'm not even saying that this is a bad scene overall, but come on, man. Can we even compare? The first time I saw this...
You really can't. Wow. I love this scene. I really like... I feel like this is one of was my favorite scene in Tokyo Ghoul. But like while I was watching all like the suffering, because he kept on getting his like limbs or fingers and toes cut off and they turn black, and then you have that moment where he just like snaps, and we know it's a real thing. From stress, your hair goes white. But they did it all at once, and I feel like a more gradual would hit harder. But I still liked it.
My guttural reaction was, oh, you better watch out, Jason. Kaneji's in the house. Yes, this is the exact moment Ken Kaneki becomes Heisenberg.
goddamn right.
It's small shit like this that throws off the nuance of emotions you get when you read the
Kaneki
manga
is
and
the
shifts
one who
it
knocks.
way more into the edgy side. Because yes, having your protagonist spawn white hair and black nails the moment they get a badass, dark, brooding power-up only to have Unravel start playing is edgy as fuck, even if that song is awesome. Even at its best, the Tokyo Ghoul anime never felt like it captured the same visceral emotions contained in the manga, and may I remind you, this was the good adaptation because woohoo! Let me tell you about the train wreck that came afterwards. Right after this came the direct sequel that they called Tokyo Ghoul Square Root A, which is just... What the fuck does that even mean? Whose bright idea was this? Did they just have a chronic fear of the number 2? Somewhere out there, a mathematician is crying right now! Root A is a reference to and pun on the Aogiri Tree organization, which is the focus of the second season. A is simply the first letter of the organization, and the root is a pun on tree root, since it's Aogiri Tree. But it might be more accurate than I'm giving it credit for, because it makes about as much sense as the fucking season does. To call this season a glorified fanfiction would be an insult to fanfictions. Kaneki goes down a completely different path, making a completely anime original adaptation, except somehow stitching things together so they kind of...
I didn't know it was completely anime original.
In the same climactic fights and events, but since they did this while removing all character motivations and moments from the manga, absolutely nothing anyone does makes sense. This is what would happen if you gave the Tokyo Ghoul manga to Stevie Wonder and asked him to recreate the events he read. By removing the same context, by removing the small character moments, by removing all nuance in the story, not only do the developments not make any fucking sense, but oh boy, get ready to walk down that boulevard of broken dreams because we're taking that lonely road right into Edgeville. Tokyo Ghoul is yet another victim of a manga with an anime adaptation that completely squandered everything that made it great. The Tokyo Ghoul readaptation tried to salvage it, but by that point it was too late. And even
just fucking copy the manga. Just go 1-to-1 and make the animation and music make it better. Just copy it. That's it. That's it. I understand maybe this was too dark that you had to censor some things. Censor some things, but don't change the fucking plot.
Then, I just don't think the studios were good enough to portray the same emotions Ishida was able to etch into his manga. Do I think the manga is a masterpiece? Not quite. I think there was a quality dip in the later half of Re where everything started to feel a bit rushed, and I'm not gonna lie, some of the fight scenes are just really hard to follow. What a perfect reason for an anime adaptation. But even though the road to get there was messy, Ishida found a way to give a conclusion to all his characters that left me feeling absolutely satisfied. There is so much more here than the edgy Tumblr show I originally thought it was, and I'm glad I gave it a chance. Tokyo Ghoul deserved better, and I should have listened to the side of me that ignored my preconceptions earlier. Guys, I guess what I'm trying to say is, there are two wolves inside of me. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you very much this month to Alpha Sigma, Basil.
That's too much, Brigo. Don't expect impossible. Dude. I don't know, man. It's been done a million times where they copy things like close to 1-to-1. That's it. Oh, anyway, boys, I hope you guys... it's painful to me. It's painful to me when I love an anime and it just goes to shit. Not because of the source material being bad. Because the fucking studio just fucks it up. Tokyo Ghoul is one of those anime that deserves a second chance. Yeah, maybe you're right. I might just read the manga, though. Last time you watched the new Overlord OP, but you didn't watch the two others. I really wanted you to. Can you link them for me in chat? I'll watch them now. Shimpak, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Follow and subscribe for more. Take it easy.